ME/CFS is a disease which is poorly understood by medical professionals and public alike. Over the last 3 years, informed by an extensive review of the scientific evidence, the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, NICE, used its usual rigorous methodology to produce a new, more evidence-based guideline for ME/CFS. However, in an unprecedented deviation from due process, just a few hours before scheduled release of the final guideline, NICE paused publication indefinitely. This decision was made following objections by 3 medical royal colleges, influenced by professionals who had developed the now discredited treatments.
One of the things that most concerns me is the self-perpetuating nature of bad science. And the way that the most vulnerable members of our society, who should be the people we serve as scientists, are actually left by the wayside in order to preserve the reputations or status of the elite scientists and the people who are, on the one hand, promoting high standards, but on the other hand, operating in very self-serving ways.
There is currently no cure, and many with the condition experience inadequate care and support. But there are an estimated 250,000 people in the UK suffering from ME, and currently we are letting these people down.
Many primary care professionals receive minimal training on ME and are therefore occasionally prone to holding stigmatised, misinformed opinions about the illness.
Most doctors don't know what ME/CFS is, and 40% of doctors don't actually believe it's a real condition.
A lot of doctors make that mistake of not recognising that there is a specific illness, a specific physiological abnormality, if you like.
Many doctors believe that it's just tired all the time, people being fatigued all the time, and that is not the case. This is a multi-system disease with a lot of different symptoms. And fatigue, as many doctors understand it, is not really what we're talking about. It's a misnomer.
ME is classified as a neurological disease by the WHO, but I would say there are abnormalities not only in the central nervous and autonomic nervous systems, but also in the immune system and the metabolism of people affected, in particular energy metabolism.
These patients have an inability to create energy for physical and mental activities that they want to do.
On average, people with ME/CFS have lower quality of life compared to people with multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer or depression.
The pain was immense. There would be days when I could barely move. Turning in bed was painful. Even having someone walking around in the room, the rustling would be too much noise for me and too much sensory input. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't hold a phone to have a conversation by phone. I couldn't even work out how to answer my phone when it rang.
We want people with this illness to get an early and accurate diagnosis. Sadly, this isn't happening at present.
Unfortunately, there is no biomarker for disease. There's no diagnostic test that will confirm the diagnosis, and the routine tests that are usually carried out will come back within the normal levels.
Around about 40% of people with an initial diagnosis of ME/CFS, when they're referred to a specialist centre, do turn out to have a completely different condition.
Many symptoms of ME/CFS occur in other conditions, leading to high levels of misdiagnosis. But crucially, in ME/CFS, there is an abnormal response to physical and cognitive exertion, causing a distinctive delayed post-exertional symptom exacerbation, or PEM, post-exertional malaise. PEM is totally different from the aches and pains and fatigue after exertion, often experienced by healthy people and those with other conditions. It is recognised as essential for making a diagnosis of ME/CFS in conjunction with other key symptoms.
Post-exertional malaise is a primary symptom of ME/CFS. It consists of decreased function and an exacerbation of symptoms, usually following a physical event, but it can also follow a cognitive or mental event and even an emotional event.
It can literally be just concentrating for an hour on something can be enough to trigger it. Likewise, if I just walked a couple of 100 yards, to begin with, that can often start with headaches or a sore throat coming on, feeling like I'm getting flu-like or coming down with something. And then a couple of days later, it really hits me and I literally can't get out of bed and I feel as though I'm concussed, I can't concentrate, and my level of functioning has to be taken down a couple of notches.
Post-exertional malaise, it involves a number of facets, and one of those is a reduced capacity to function or to do work or to generate energy. And I'm sure there are no physicians out there that would willingly hurt their patients. But recommended graded exercise can be very, very dangerous.
Since 2007, NICE has recommended that graded exercise therapy and cognitive behaviour therapy should be offered to most ME/CFS patients. These were considered to be the interventions for which there is the clearest research evidence of benefit. There was an assumption that faulty illness beliefs and behaviours resulted in patients becoming deconditioned and that this psychosocial cause for persisting illness must be reversible. NICE has now found the evidence for the efficacy of GET and CBT to be of very low or low quality, leading to a major reversal of policy. GET and CBT are not recommended as effective or curative treatments for ME/CFS in either the draft guideline 2020 or the final unpublished guideline August 2021. Both these contain warnings about the dangers of using GET and CBT as treatments. There is recognition that overexertion can cause an exacerbation of symptoms, flare-ups, relapses, and severe illness.
The recommendation of graded exercise has caused untold physical damage to thousands of people. In fact, a 2018 survey found that 89% of ME sufferers experienced worsened symptoms after increasing activity. Now, if graded exercise were a drug, it would have lost its licence.
It's a huge paradigm shift for anyone to understand. In many illnesses, exercise therapy, aerobic conditioning is very beneficial. In ME/CFS, it isn't, and it in fact exacerbates the illness.
When I first experienced this fatigue, I tried to push through it, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and then would last much longer, and I would have to rest for so much longer. And I've never experienced anything like it.
Patients or organisations knew that some people were getting worse, but it wasn't really being reported. So I sort of collated the data, and thousands of people have been made worse. 51% on average have been made worse by graded exercise therapy, and people shouldn't be coerced, because it's unfortunate. People can be coerced in all sorts of situations to exercise, and that really shouldn't be allowed.
Once ME/CFS was framed as a psychosocial condition, patients were dismissed as unreliable witnesses who paid too much attention to their symptoms, spurned as malingerers, and were even demonised by the media. This has thwarted biomedical research and funding for decades, creating a vicious cycle of ignorance, harm, and neglect. Early management of ME/CFS appears to be crucial, but many young people had no say, no choice in their treatment, and were made severely ill for decades. The cognitive behavioural model of ME/CFS has harmed many thousands of patients and their families.